Hello everyone, Jeff Bouwman, and I'm back again with another EDT 211-511 tutorial to help show you how to do your assignments for our course. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at something that is very essential for all teachers, and that's lesson plans, okay? So again, my view may look a little different than yours, but underneath assignments, one of your options, if you choose to do so, is to create lesson plans. And I'm going to scroll on down here to lesson plans. You can do 3 lesson plans in EDT 211-511, and each one is worth 50,000 points for a grand total of 150,000 points. All right, so I'm going to take a look at lesson plan number 1, and I'm going to walk you through this, and the other 2 will be done the same way. Now, if you don't do lesson plan number 1 and the due date passes, you can still do lesson 2, lesson 3, even though you didn't do lesson plan number 1, that's fine. Remember, this is all about choice. So if you don't do lesson plan number 1 and we go past the due date, that one's done and over, but you can still do the other 2. Or if you only want to do 1, that's fine. It's all up to you. So lesson plan number 1, I'm going to take a look at that, show you how to do it. And basically, you need to design an instructional activity that has technology integrated into it in a meaningful way. Now, first thing off the bat, one thing we're not going to do is we're not going to write a lesson plan and say my students are going to watch a YouTube video. Wow, great. No, that's not a meaningful way. It's how are you going to use technology like a fine spice to enhance your lesson. It's not we're going to use calculators or we're going to go to this one website. It's what are you going to do with the technology that's meaningful, that motivates, that engages. We don't use technology just to say that we're using technology. It has to be used in a manner that engages students. And when you engage your students and you really draw them into the lesson, that turns around and increases student learning. And that's really what we strive for as teachers, is we want to motivate to make them want to learn, because when they want that, then they learn. It's pretty much, it goes hand in hand. So how are you going to use technology in your future classroom? It's really what we're doing here. Now, like a couple of the other assignments, one of the first things you need to do is you have the template right here. And again, this is my copy, so you're going to need to make a copy for yourself. So if you start typing on this and it doesn't work, well, it's because it's in view mode and you need to make your own copy. So again, file, make a copy, save it to your drive, give it a name that you will remember, because I know my Google Drive gets to be a little messy. So make sure you know what it is. Now, working our way through this, the first thing you're going to do, give your lesson plan a title. What do you want to call it? Put your name here. What grade level is this lesson plan intended for? What is the big lesson concept? So if it's science, maybe it's you're doing a lesson on genetics. So I might put genetics, examining chromosomes or something like that. Next up underneath, you're going to have to pick out of the big 4. Is it math, ELA, social studies, or science? And find the standards that go along with your lesson. So if you're teaching a middle school lesson about phases of the moon, then you're going to need your science standards, and you're going to want to scroll on down until you find moon phases or a standard that goes along with it. You're going to copy it and paste it into the template. And what I'm looking for is I want the number and description right like this, okay? What is your lesson objective or objectives? During this lesson, the students will learn how to solve basic multiplication problems. Will they be able to differentiate between plant and animal cells? What is it your students are going to be able to do? You should probably have like 2 or 3 things that they'll be able to do because of this lesson. So keep that in mind. What technology are you using? List it here and give me a hyperlink if it's a resource or website that you're going to, so I can take a look at it. Why did you select that resource? And give me more than a sentence here. Give me a good rationale as to why you did that. Once you start working as a teacher and you get observed After your observation, your principal will probably ask you the question, explain to me why you did that, or why did you use that? And you have to be able to do that. That's very important. So right there, what is your rationale? Make sure you give me, you know, not a real lengthy paragraph, but explain your thought process. That's what I want. Right here, lesson administration. Give me a step-by-step plan, okay? Now, that's not, the students will walk in the classroom. I will ask them to sit down. I will ask them to look at the board. Give me the big steps that you need to do during your lesson to make this really work, all right? And next up, assessment plan. Now, this is a formative assessment. And the difference, again, between formative and summative is the big test at the end of the unit. I'm not guessing after one lesson like this, you're going to give a massive test that kids need to study for. You shouldn't. But what is your formative plan? So how are you going to gauge that the students understand the concept when it's all said and done after the lesson is done? So what is your assessment plan? Is it an exit ticket? What does that look like? Is it a rubric? What are you looking for? So explain to me how you're going to assess student learning that way. If I pick your lesson, I could do the same lesson myself, all right? And finally, if you took this lesson from somewhere teachers pay teachers, you found it online, give credit where credit is due, and add that right here in the references. So if you borrowed it from somewhere, make sure you drop it right there in the correct way. APA is fine with me. So you have this template is what you're going to use for your lesson plan. And as always, when you're done, go to the share link, change it to anyone with the link can comment, so I can add comments on the document after you submit it. And you are going to take the hyperlink from this and you are going to turn that in on GradeCraft. So you just turn in the hyperlink. And again, when you think about technology, it could be a really cool resource that you send your students to. It could be quizzes. It could be a scavenger hunt using QR codes. It could be using the Globe Observer app to go outside and take cloud measurements. It's really, sky's the limit here. There's so many different options that you could do. Jeff, can we make it in-class learning versus virtual learning? Some schools are virtual right now. Some are going back in person. My answer is either works. Okay, so if you want to design something for a virtual setting, that's cool, that's fine. Or if you want to design something for normal face-to-face instruction, that works as well. Your job is to think like a teacher and to develop a lesson plan that uses technology to enhance learning. And again, the key word there is enhance. We really want to engage our students here. And this is a really good opportunity for you to start thinking about lesson planning, because as you work your way up and get closer to student teaching, you're going to have to write a lot more lesson plans. So this is good practice. Okay. Well, with that being said, I hope you found this helpful. Any questions, email me, please, and do good work. And, you know, I guess before I sign off, the biggest thing is when you design a lesson plan is you need to step back and you need to ask yourself, will my students truly enjoy this lesson plan? And the only way to do that is you have to think like the students that you're teaching. You need to ask yourself, if I were in Mr. Bouwman's classroom, would this lesson make me want to learn? And if you can say yes, and that you're excited, you know you've done good. If you have to stop and kind of hem-haw, then maybe you didn't do it just right. Maybe you need to add a little bit more to it. These are all things that you need to consider when you think about your design process. So enough of my talking. All right. So you can do 3 lesson plans for our course, 150,000 points possible if you choose to do so. And I thank you for taking the time to watch this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. So thank you very much.